Well, it is a nice rainy morning here in October, and we're starting out in the goat barn because we had 2 new baby goats born. We got one right here in front of us. We have 1 male, 1 female. And this is our ram, looking very happy and healthy. And you can see they are eating the grass down pretty well in here. So they've got plenty of pasture yet to live off of, but so far everything's going great. And this is our little goat female. Absolutely adorable. I love that they all have different spots, different look. You know, they're not all the exact same animal. That is absolutely fantastic. So we have 1 more that is currently pregnant and going to be having her babies here very soon. So this is wonderful. I'll jump over the fence and we finally have some goat milk. It's only 6 liters, but running this realistic livestock mod, they only produce milk when they've had babies. They do not produce year-round. So this is wonderful. We're finally getting some goat milk here. And you can see all of the chickens that we have, or most of them. Some of them are definitely hidden in the tall grass since I haven't mowed in a while. But they're all doing fantastic. The chicken coop is at max capacity. And there's a few males in here. We're going to let them grow another 2 months, and then we're going to sell them off. So we'll make a little bit of money off of the males. The females will continue growing and laying eggs. And eventually, I would like to have just the 1 rooster and the rest all females in here. So I've also got this set up so that all my excessive animals get sold. So any animals that are born that won't fit in here, automatically sell every month. It doesn't make much of a difference. Like this month, it was 43 euros is all we made from it. So it's definitely not game-breaking by any means, but it does definitely help. So we're currently at 536 euros. We've got our trailer loaded up with all of our vegetables from our greenhouses. And again, it's short. We did not produce as well this month, which is disappointing. I have no idea why. But we got to get it sold off regardless, so we're going to head down to the farmer's market and get all these vegetables sold off. All right, and as you can see, we've definitely got some weeds growing here in our barley field, but our yield is still looking pretty good. Nitrogen and pH levels are perfect, so that's very good. We're looking at, 9 ton to the hectare in our little barley field there. And we're looking at 9 to 10 ton per hectare here in our wheat field. Now, the weeds are a bit smaller in this field, which is very good. But we definitely need to try and get them sprayed this month, get rid of these weeds, and hopefully we don't have to worry about weeds the rest of the year up until harvest. So everything's looking pretty good here. Now, I am slightly disappointed at the yield potential there. We spent all that money on lime and fertilizer, and I don't know that it's going to make a difference. So far, not looking great. We've got a long ways to go till harvest, so things could change. But definitely disappointed with the amount of money we put in. If we're not going to get, that massive return, is it even worth it? All right, we're down here at the farmer's market. We'll go ahead and get this sold off. And we made 7,125 euros with a 725 euro environmental bonus. So yeah, being down a little bit on production for the greenhouses was not great. I genuinely have no idea why. They have plenty of seed, plenty of fertilizer, and plenty of water. And I've now noticed that our goat barn that is producing manure is connected to our greenhouses. So that manure does show up in the greenhouses. Now, it's not enough to really mess with at the moment. We don't have enough goats to produce enough manure to even fire that part of the greenhouse up, but maybe here in the near future, if we continue growing our goat herd, that can change. But we need to buy some herbicide this month. I do have some left over from last year. It's not a whole lot, but we'll start out by using that, see how far it goes, and then start purchasing And I also want to get our grass mowed this month and try and make some silage. I'd really, really like to get some cattle ASAP, as we need them. They're going to be on the farm for a little bit before they actually start producing milk. So the sooner we can get them on the farm, the better. All right, the rain has quit. We got our sprayer on the tractor here, so we're going to go ahead and start spraying this field, get rid of these weeds. Hopefully this goes relatively quickly and we don't use a whole lot of herbicide here, but unfortunately with this old sprayer we don't have spot and spray technology, so we are going to use quite a bit of herbicide here going through these 3 fields. All right, and we are not going to get this field finished. That is disappointing, to say the least. The size of this sprayer is just not really working out very well for this farm. We've got a lot of upgrades we need to make in equipment, and we just don't have money. We've got to figure out how to start making some more money here. Now, I've been talking to a few of the locals, and, we're starting to become friends, but not quite friends enough to let me do any work in their fields yet. But maybe here, in the next year or two, we will be able to pick up some contracts and start doing some work. But unfortunately, they're just not quite trusting enough to let me do it yet. So we're stuck just with the profits that we make on this farm, which in December, when we sell off all of our grain, maybe it'll be a little bit different story and we can finally start getting ahead. But right now it is very, very sketchy. All right, well, go ahead and lease the Hardy sprayer. It's got the spot and spray on it, and we're going to use far less herbicide using this. It costs us $4 grand to lease, but we would have spent all of that and then some on herbicide with our little sprayer and taken way more time to get these fields sprayed. So we're going to use this, and we had to use our bigger tractor because unfortunately our little Fiat was just too small. But that's okay. It is still a very valuable tractor for our farm. We just have to pick and choose where we use it. So we're going to use this Hardy sprayer, and you can see we're using far less herbicide here. So much less that I don't think we're going to have to buy any herbicide for this year, because we're still using what I had bought from last year, which is fantastic. So this is a lot wider, going to use way less herbicide, and financially just a much, much better decision for our farm here. All right, so instead of using another 200 liters of herbicide, we used 4. Having this sprayer is going to make a gigantic difference, and this is something we need to pay attention to. I think we need to really consider selling off some of our old equipment, get whatever we can for it, and try and upgrade anything we can. Because if we can save money on herbicide, maybe find a way to start saving money on fertilizer and lime as well. Any little bit will help. So definitely need to start thinking forward and considering changing out some of our equipment if we can ever make enough money to do it. Okay, well, we're done spraying. And we're done spraying. We did that in a fraction of the time, and we used less than 100 liters to cover our 2 big fields. So we used 600 liters to do part of the small field with our old sprayer, and less than 100 liters with this rented sprayer. Honestly, even though it's $4,000 or 4,000 euros to rent, I think it's well worth renting every year. I don't even think we need to own a sprayer. That saved, we'll never have to buy herbicide again with the amount that we have on hand. So I'll go ahead and unload that, and holy cow. What a difference that made. So yeah, I think we're just going to go ahead and sell off our old sprayer and not buy a new one. I don't think it's worth purchasing, to be completely honest. So that's fantastic. Now we are going to go ahead and start mowing, and we got a lot of grass to mow. There's a reason I haven't mowed the yard yet. We're going to turn as much of this grass around this property into silage as we can. So we'll get this sprayer returned, and we're going to start mowing. All right, we got all of our grass mowed down. We got some silage additive bought here, and you can see we're down to 843 euros. That's not great at all. But I believe the silage additive will help us make a little bit more silage. At least I'm pretty sure that's what the intent is. So we're going to go ahead and start getting all of this grass picked up here. We've got quite a bit. Unfortunately, it's all in really small patches. So it's going to be a lot of turning around, a lot of messing around, but, you know, it's definitely going to be worth it. So I will catch up to you guys when we get all of this grass picked up and we're ready to start packing our pit.
When did we make it so cold? The air is too thick to breathe. I wonder when you're coming home at 4:05. Just where have you been? I can tell from your breath that you've been drinking. Lying seems so easy to you. Just wanna know what you're thinking. Nothing comes easy when it comes to you. You said you wanted to know me, but did you even try? All you do is find new ways to hurt me. You just wanna act like it's fine, but it's not alright. You just act like it's fine. Oh no, it's not alright. No, it's not alright. It's not alright. Remember all those good times? Was it all just a scene? Now all we do is put out the fires. It's not how we used to be. I can sit here and talk about the memories, but I guess that's not what you wanna do. So I just wanna know what you're thinking, 'cause nothing comes easy when it comes to you. You said you wanted to know me, but did you even try? 'Cause all you do is find new ways to hurt me, when you just wanna act like it's fine, but it's not alright. It's not alright. When did we make it so cold? The air is too thick to breathe. You remember all those good times? Was it all just a scene? You said you wanted to know me, but did you even try? 'Cause all you do is find new ways to hurt me, when you just wanna act like it's fine, but it's not alright. It's not alright. No, it's not alright.
All right, we ended up with just about 3.5, almost exactly, trailer loads of grass. That is absolutely fantastic. We went through quite a bit of silage additive as well. And I'm wondering if that's what helped us gain that little bit extra, because we didn't quite have 3 trailer loads the first time we did this. But regardless, I'm very happy with where we're at. So we'll get this last little bit dumped out, and then we need to get this pit packed. And that will pretty much be it for October. See if we need to do any lime or fertilizer on our grass field, but that's pretty much it. So I will see you guys in December when we're ready to sell off some of our grain. Welcome into December, everyone. It's now time to get all of our grain and vegetables sold here. So we're going to go ahead and get these hauled down to the farmer's market. Then we're going to come back, grab the fiat, and we can go ahead and start selling off our spelt and barley. Hoping for, you know, a pretty good payday today. We're starting out the month well ahead. We're at 10,911 euros. Which is because we didn't spend any money last month. All we did was make money. We didn't have to put anything into our greenhouses, which was absolutely fantastic. Now, we probably will have to put some seed and fertilizer in there this month, unfortunately, but that's okay. We're getting everything sold off that we can. Our goats are doing fantastic. There should be some new baby goats born next month. So that'll give us a grand total of 4 new baby goats since we bought goats, which is fantastic. That's almost doubling up our herd size already. And I'm really, really hoping we can buy some cattle this month. So we're getting backed into the farmer's market. Go ahead and sell everything off. And we made 11,224 euros with a 1,083 euro environmental bonus. That's really, really good. Our environmental bonus is definitely helping us out quite a bit here. So we're going to go ahead, get back to the home place, grab the fiat, and get it loaded up with our spelt. We'll go ahead and sell that first, and then we can move on to selling our barley. All right, we have our first load of spelt. We're going to have to take 3 loads to the grain mill here. And the grain mill is paying the best price, so... And we're down here at the CA silo, so we'll go ahead and get this spelt sold off here. And we made 5,883 euros with a 567 euro environmental score bonus. So we'll head back, pick up load number 2, and bring it back down here as well. All right, and this is load number 2 of spelt. And we made 5,886 euros with a 567 euro environmental bonus. So we'll head back, fill up with the last bit of spelt. It won't quite be a full load, but it'll be close, and get that hauled down here as well. And we're pulling in with the last of our spelt, so we'll go ahead and get this sold off. And that gave us 5,100 euros with a 492 euro environmental bonus. Puts us up to $41,717. Now we're going to go back to the home place, load up with some barley, and start selling off all of our barley. All right, we're loaded up with our first load of barley, and the grain mill is paying the best price. So we're going to take our barley down to the grain mill. And we didn't get a whole lot done last month, but I did manage to get some of these trees cleared out and get a path put down in here so that we can drive on this side of the trees instead of driving around to the other side, which gets pretty annoying pretty fast. All right, we're down here at the grain mill. We'll go ahead and get this barley sold off. And we made 8,359 euros with an 806 euro environmental score bonus. And this is load number 2. And this is load number 3. And this is load number 4. And this is load number 5. All right, and this is load number 6, our last load of barley. And we got 6,580 euros with a 634 euro environmental bonus. And that brings us to 94,804 euros. That's very, very good. I'm really, really happy with that sale. Not very happy with the spelt, obviously, but I'm really happy with the barley. So we are done selling everything, and I think I'm going to go ahead and avoid that traffic jam and take the long way home. All right, we're back at the home place, and we are hooked up to our Dan Greenville trailer, and we're going to run down to the auction and see if we can't pick up some cattle. Super excited to finally get enough money to where we can purchase some cattle and hopefully get some milk going very soon for our dairy. Hey everyone, welcome into April. This winter was pretty uneventful, but we did pick up some cattle in December, and even throughout the winter months we picked up a couple more, and we also picked up some more goats. So our cow and goat herds are doing absolutely phenomenal. So we did go with the Holsteins. Unfortunately, the brown Swiss genetics were just atrocious. So we didn't pick up any brown Swiss. I was really hoping to go with brown Swiss in this series, but boy, they were rough. So we ended up just going with the Holsteins instead. You can see we've got quite a few out here in the pasture. We got some younger ones here, like Shadowfax is 11 months old, so not quite breeding age. But then we've got some older girls out here that are of breeding age. And we are expecting some babies already, so this is fantastic. There is a bull out here somewhere. Unfortunately, they are hard to find out here because they do still look like the females, which is very disappointing. And we even have a baby. So this is Indigo. She is 4 months old. Doesn't look like it. Looks like she's still having a hard time standing up, but she is 4 months old. And anywho, our cattle are doing very, very well. We do not have any milk yet because we have not received any baby cows. So we're waiting for them to be born before we get any. And I tried to space out the age in some of the cattle that we bought to make sure that we can try and get milk throughout the entire year. But they are doing absolutely wonderful. So we'll go ahead and jump this fence and we can run over here. Our chickens are doing absolutely phenomenal as well. So you can see most of them anyway, running around out here in this grass. Definitely need to get this grass mowed. It is looking pretty rough. And our goat barn over here is doing very, very well. You can see we've got 397 liters of goat milk. So we're just about ready to get our dairy fired up. I'm going to go ahead and wait until we do have some cattle before I fire up the dairy, as our goats just really aren't producing much. And apparently I was in her way. So, that's a first. I've never had a goat push me out of the way. And their pasture is very, very full. I've only given them one grass bale. Gave them one grass bale. That was more than enough to get them through the winter. So I don't think we're going to do any grass baling this year, which is, honestly pretty good. But you can see some of the young ones that we have out here. Very young, very playful. And yet again, everybody is doing absolutely phenomenal. So very, very happy with where our animals are. Now, we run over here. You can see I've already got the trailer loaded up with all of our vegetables from the greenhouse. Our greenhouses are doing absolutely phenomenal, keeping us well above water here. You can see we're sitting at 74,791 euros. And I'm very, very happy with that. So we're going to go ahead, get this run down to the farmer's market, get it sold off. And then we need to feed our cattle. And as I'm coming around the corner here, you can see I have a pad here for loose hay, so we can use our loader bucket to scoop up the hay and make it a little bit more realistic instead of just throwing full hay bales into our feed wagon, which doesn't work because our hay bales are way too big for the feed wagon we have. But that's, a story for another time here. But we'll go ahead and get our cattle fed when we get back. But first, we need to get all these vegetables sold off. And as we come around the corner here, you can see our wheat field and our barley field. They're looking absolutely wonderful. Unfortunately, the barley has not grown up quite tall enough to cover up those weeds. But the wheat field looks absolutely fantastic. Not a weed in sight. So very, very happy with that. Now we'll go ahead and finish our trip down to the farmer's market here. All right, we'll go ahead and get backed into the farmer's market. And we'll get all this sold off. And we made some pretty good money there. So we're up to 92,828 euros. I'm very, very happy with that. So we'll go ahead, head back to the home place here, get our cattle fed, and then we need to mow down some of our grass so we can make some hay. And I almost forgot, we bought a new tractor this winter. Or at least new to us. This is a Schluter 2500 VL automatic. It's got quite a few hours on it, but it is a beast of a tractor and it will pull a bigger seeder. And if we look around the corner here, there is no seeder here anymore. And that's because we sold it off. We're going to be leasing a seeder this year. Unfortunately, we don't have the money to buy the one that I want, but we do have the money to go ahead and lease a really good seeder. So that is what we're going to be planting with this year. It's a very, very big tractor. Really happy to have it here on the farm. As you can see, none of the other equipment has changed. But we're going to go ahead and jump in the Zader here and start filling our feed wagon so we can get our cattle fed here. All right, and as you guys can see, this little concrete pad here has worked out really, really well for splitting our bales open here. Now, I wish I had a grinder for bales. That would be absolutely fantastic, but I don't have one in game, so I'm just splitting the bales open, bringing them over here, splitting them open, and they pile up really nicely as is. So that's how this pile is working out, but it's absolutely phenomenal being able to use it and actually have loose hay to pick up instead of just throwing a hay bale in. I like doing it this way much, much better. All right, and our feed wagon is full, so our mix ratio is 4 buckets of hay, 3 buckets of silage, or almost 3 full buckets of silage, and that gives us a really good ratio here for our TMR. Go ahead and dump the last of that silage back in here. And something we learned in our last series is you can't put chaff into a silage bunker that has silage. So when it comes time for us to mow our grass down and get ready to turn it into silage, we will go ahead and sell whatever silage we have left and at least make a profit off of it. And that way we're always rotating fresh silage for our cattle. I'm not sure how much, of this silage we'll have left over when we're done, but I'm sure it's going to be a bit. So we're going to go ahead and run this over to our cattle here. We're sitting at about a 57% and 42% mix, hay to silage, and part of that is because I definitely missed some hay. It's laying on the ground instead of in the feed wagon like it's supposed to be, so that's a bit of an issue there. But normally it's more like a 60-40 mix here. Well, we'll go ahead and get these cattle fed. This feed wagon is really nice, even though it is pretty small. It's still pretty convenient to have and works really, really well. Now, we are out of hay. The hay that we have in the pile is all that we have, so that is why we need to make sure we get our grass mowed and turned into hay this month, because we are completely out once that pile is gone, and it's very maybe enough for one more feed wagon, and that's it. So we definitely need to make sure that we get our hay made this month, and there's clouds rolling in later today, which typically means rain here in Monteriggioni. All right, we got our cattle fed, so we don't have any milk yet. They've got plenty of straw. They've got 3,300 liters of manure that we do need to get moved down to our greenhouses this month. That way they can keep producing vegetables for us. And we have quite a bit of slurry that I have no idea what we're going to do with. Maybe I can find a used slurry applicator somewhere in the used market, but maybe we'll just sell the slurry too. It's probably worth more money than it is to spread it out on the field. Honestly, I don't know. We'll cross that bridge when we get to it. So I'm going to go ahead and run down here, grab the Zader that I left down in the bunker, and get the mower hooked up so we can start mowing right away here. All right, we got our Kloss mower hooked up here. We're going to go ahead and get it fired up. And we're not going to mow quite as much as we did for our silage because we just don't need it for hay. And we're not going to go down between the fields through the headlands and waterways because the crop is tall enough now that we will destroy it if we drive through it. So I definitely took advantage of it last fall, being able to drive through the field due to FS25 physics and not destroy the crop when it was at, its first growth stage. But we definitely will destroy that crop now. So I'm just going to do this little triangle piece here and all the way around our grass field. Now I will do a little bit of the outside here that isn't actually field, just like I always do, but we're just not going to do near as much as we did last fall for our silage. All right, we got all of our hay mowed, tedded, and raked, and we're ready to start baling. So we'll get this thing fired up, get it dropped down, and see how many bales we end up with. hopefully we get quite a few, but really, all in all, we don't need a whole lot. But if we can get a few extra to sell, that would be absolutely fantastic. So I'm going to go ahead and hammer out all of this baling, see what we end up with, and I'll catch up to you guys when we are finished. All right, and just like that, we're coming up on the end of our baling. Definitely did not take very long. Make sure we got every little bit here, and we do. So we'll go ahead, unload this baler. And we ended up with 7 bales in total. Not too bad. Nothing, to write home about by any means. But our grass field is rather small, so 7 bales, especially this size, that's pretty good. So we'll go ahead and get this put away, get all the bales picked up. And I think we're going to need to spread a little bit of lime, maybe some fertilizer on this grass field. I'm not honestly sure. All right, so it's looking like we definitely need to spread a little bit of lime and quite a bit of fertilizer out here. So once we get all these bales picked up, we'll go ahead and start spreading some lime and fertilizer. And I do have some lime left over in the shed yet. So I don't know if it'll be enough to get us, taken care of here or not, but it'll at least help. And we're down to $90,812 because this poor Zader tractor was in desperate need of some maintenance. So we got that taken care of. It is good to go now. And so far, all in all, this tractor has been absolutely fantastic. So I'm going to go ahead, since we're here, get this manure scooped up and get this hauled down to our greenhouses here. Not a whole lot by any means, but every little bit helps. And I do believe it is helping produce more vegetables out of our greenhouses. So definitely going to go ahead and get this taken care of, and then we can put the bale fork on and I'll just run around the field. I can pick up 2 at a time with them being hay, and with only being 7 bales, it's just not going to take very long. All right, we've got all of our bales picked up and we're ready to start spreading out some lime. So we've got 1,200 liters on here, and this should be enough, hopefully, to... nope, never mind. Yep, definitely won't be enough. So we will be refilling, but I do have more lime in the shed, so hopefully we have enough on hand and I don't actually have to purchase any. That is my hope. Definitely not going to hold my breath on it, though. That is for certain. But this little, fertilizer spreader here, even though it is tiny, works pretty good for this little grass field, at least. Our big fields, yeah, not so much, but at least for the grass field, it does work pretty decent. And we're out of lime. Made it, well, I'd say probably 3/4 of the way around the field, so not too bad. This next fill up, I'm really hoping will finish this off as long as we can get this thing full. Not quite sure how much lime is actually sitting in our shed here, but hopefully it's enough to refill this lime spreader at least one more time. All right, and we were able to get it filled one more time, so we will have enough lime on hand to go ahead and get this field finished. Unfortunately, we're definitely not going to have enough lime on hand, or enough fertilizer on hand, because we put it all into our greenhouses. So definitely going to have to buy some fertilizer, but thankfully we don't need a whole lot for this little grass field here. Definitely going through significantly more lime to get this field covered. And then again, never mind. We're definitely out of lime. So we're going to go ahead and fill up again. My goodness, the amount of lime we go through with precision farming is insane. And honestly, I haven't looked at my barley and wheat fields yet, but when I looked at them last year, doing all of that fertilizing and liming didn't make a difference on the yield. At least not for what it was showing the potential was. So I'm not entirely certain that this whole precision farming thing is all that it's cracked out to be. Alright, and we are finally done spreading lime, so we can go ahead and get rid of the rest of this. It's only 176 liters, and we'll go ahead and refill with some fertilizer here. Alright, and that costs 968 euros. Hopefully we don't go through all of this fertilizer, but at this point, I'm assuming we're going to. We seem to go through significantly more than what I think we're going to. Alright, and you can see we're sitting at the perfect pH and perfect nitrogen now. So, this should yield quite well, and to be completely honest, I'm betting next month it shows the exact same yield possibility as it would have if we wouldn't have done anything to it. Just like when we run over here, our wheat is sitting at 89% potential yield. That's what this field sat at without any nitrogen or lime spread on it whatsoever. So honestly, I think the environmental bonus is the only reason to even attempt to do any of the extra field work, because you're getting the same yield regardless. But that is going to be it for the month of April here. Not a whole lot going on this month, so I will see you guys in June when we're ready to harvest our barley. Hey everyone, welcome into June. It's a very exciting month this month as we're getting ready to start our barley harvest. Wheat will be next month, and we've got plenty of vegetables to get sold. We have 10 new baby goats here on the farm, and our cows and chickens are all doing very, very good. So very happy with where we're at. We're going to go ahead and get this sold off and jump straight into feeding our animals next. And we'll go ahead and get backed into the farmer's market here. And get all this sold off. So that was a very, very good payday there. And we're up to 109,673 euros. That is absolutely fantastic. So we're going to run back to the home place. We have some cattle to get fed, and our chickens are getting very low on feed, but we're out of wheat in the silo. So we're going to have to put some of the barley that we harvest today into the chicken pen. All right, we got our feed wagon all loaded up here. Did a better job this time getting all of the hay in the wagon, so we're sitting at exactly a 60-40 mix, 60% hay, 40% silage. And I'm pretty happy with it. Now, we are out of hay down on our little pad there, so we will have to split some bales open this month, but we're going to worry about that after we get harvest done. All right, we will go ahead and get these guys topped off here. Everybody is doing absolutely fantastic, and I can't wait until we get some baby cows here on the farm. All right, and we are ready to start our harvest. So we'll go ahead and get this combine fired up, get the header drop down, and I can't wait to see how much barley we end up with off this field and our small field. This is going to be very, very exciting. So far, the Kloss 208 is running absolutely fantastic. Now, it is absolutely filthy. That is something I have yet to pick up for the farm, is a power washer. We desperately need one, but for now, it's just going to have to stay dirty. But I got our straw swath enabled. That way we can make straw bales when we're done combining here. And I'm going to make as many straw bales as I can this year because we need a lot of money. We're sitting at 109,000 euros, but honestly, I think we need about 500,000 euros in order to really properly get this winery going. So it's going to be a bit tight trying to plant grapes and buy all the equipment we need for the grapes, plus build a winery all here in this next year. So it's going to be interesting. So far our yield is doing quite well. Now, something I've noticed, it seems precision farming, the soil type matters more than your fertilizer or lime. That's what really gives you any kind of yield. And I haven't noticed much of a yield bump, to be honest. It's pretty disappointing. But I'm going to go ahead and hammer this field out, and I will catch up to you guys when we get our first Fiat truckload here. All right, and we have our first truckload of barley. Very exciting. Now we're going to stop at the chicken coop get it full of barley first, make sure that they're not going to run out of feed, and then we'll put the rest of it into the silo, and every bit of it after that will go into our silo for storage, so we can make sure that we get the best possible price when we go to sell. But this is very, very exciting. We made it about 1.5 passes around the field and filled up, so we're getting a pretty good yield through some of it. Part of our field is definitely not yielding great, but part of it is, so that part's exciting at least. All right, we'll go ahead and get these chickens topped off, and they are doing absolutely fantastic, producing quite a few eggs. Definitely more than what I expected. Now, I do kind of wish that their pen held more feed, but, you know, it is what it is. It's okay. And this is the first load going into our silo for our year 2 harvest. And this is load number 2 going in the silo. And this is load number 3. And this is load number 4. And this is load number 5. And this is load number 6. And this is load number 7. It's a bit short, but it is the last of that big barley field. So I've already got the combine moved up into our small barley field, and it is rolling. I went ahead and hired a worker to combine that field for me while I just, you know, kind of cart here with the Fiat. And everything has gone really, really well. Except we're starting to run really low on fuel for everything, and our fuel barrel is empty, so we are going to have to spend some money this month and get that fuel barrel filled up. But all in all, I'm very, very happy with where everything is at. That was a pretty good harvest, if I do say so myself. And we're gonna go ahead and finish up that little field. Then it's time to move on to baling some stock bales, or straw bales, I guess. Got to get used to saying straw again. All right, and this is our first load off of our small field. I don't think we're going to get 2 full loads, but we're going to get pretty close to 2 full loads off of it. So this will give us like close to 9 full loads of barley. So that's really, really exciting. All right, and this is the last 8,500 liters that we got off that small field, and it is done being harvested. So our barley harvest went off without a hitch. Everything went absolutely fantastic. I am super, super happy with where we're at. So we have 124,907 liters of barley. That is absolutely fantastic. This is going to be a great sale here in December, getting all this barley sold off, and we still have wheat we need to combine. We need to bale up all of our straw bales yet, and we will have hay that we're going to sell this year. So we're definitely moving in the right direction. Things are going absolutely fantastic, and I'm super excited to have the chance to go ahead and switch over to grapes next year. I think we're going to make enough money, and even if we don't, I'm switching over to grapes anyway. So we're going to go ahead and get all of our straw baled up next, and get it all picked up and put into our bale storage. All right, we have our bale counter reset. We'll get this fired up, get it dropped down, and we can get into baling all of this straw. I have no idea how many bales we're going to get, but between this and the small field, we should get quite a few. I'm hoping, somewhere around 30 would be, fantastic. Not sure if we'll get there, but I'm really hoping we will. So I'll hammer this out, and I'll catch up with you guys when I get this all baled up. And we're coming up on the end of getting all the straw baled up here. And we didn't quite have enough for one last bale. Go ahead and push the last one out, and we ended up with 45 bales. That's absolutely incredible. I can't believe we got that many. I was hoping for 30. So yeah, getting 45 is absolutely fantastic. We're about out of fuel because we are running low on fuel and everything. I have not refilled our fuel barrel yet, but I will here very shortly. Now we're going to go ahead and get all of these bales picked up, and that'll probably be it for the month of June. So I will see you guys in July when we are ready to harvest our wheat. Welcome into July, everyone. It's a very, very good month. It's nice and warm. Our vegetables produce pretty good, not great, definitely not our best production out of our greenhouses. But I did go ahead and fire up our dairy last month and put the goat milk in it. So that's very exciting. We don't have enough product out of it yet to sell, but we should have plenty next month. So that's, going to be absolutely fantastic. We are ready to combine our wheat this month. We have grass that needs to be mowed down and turned into hay. And boy, do we have a busy month. So we're going to go ahead and get right to it here. Go ahead and get all these vegetables hauled down to our farmer's market. And then we need to feed our cattle. And then we can go ahead and jump straight into our harvest after that. All right, we'll get back in here to the farmer's market and get all this sold off. We made 8,782 euros with a 747 euro bonus, or environmental bonus, so that's fantastic. So we're up to 106,000. Not too bad. I did spend a little bit of money last month buying seed for our greenhouses, but thankfully that wasn't too expensive. And I was hoping when I put the manure in them that, production would go up. And it hasn't. However, I'm using far less fertilizer now that we're using manure. So there is a small benefit to using the manure. It doesn't cost us any money other than basically our goats. They're providing the vast majority of the manure at the moment. And there's really no cost in our goats. So that's fantastic. Now we're going to go ahead and get our cattle fed. And as you can see, I did not get any of our stock bales picked up last month. I ended up worrying about that dairy and completely forgot about the stock bales. Not a big deal. We can get all of those picked up when we bale up our wheat field after we're done harvesting it today. So not too big of a deal at all. All right, so we're getting our cattle topped off with the TMR. And then once this is done, we can jump straight into combining. All right, and we are officially ready to dive into the wheat field. Very excited, and we are going to drop a straw swath. That way we can bale up all the straw when we're done doing the harvest and have as many straw bales as we possibly can to get sold this year. Now, we're not going to have very many hay bales, which does kind of suck, but at least we're going to have plenty of straw bales to sell this year. So I will catch up to you guys when we get our first truckload here. And we have our first truckload of wheat coming off this field. We didn't quite make 2 full rounds around the field. Pretty close to it, though, and everything's running absolutely perfect. All right, and this is load number 2. And this is load number 3. And this is load number 4. And this is load number 5. And this is load number 6. It's a bit short, only 8,300 liters. But our wheat field is done, so we are officially done with our harvest. I'm very, very excited for that. Harvest went very, very well. And once this is done dumping, we're going to go ahead and hook up to the mower, get all of our grass mowed, get it all tedded, raked, and ready to be baled, and then we will hook up to the baler, start baling our wheat field, get the last of our straw baled up, and then we'll finish up baling our hay. So, for our harvest, we ended up with 124,907 liters of barley and 83,262 liters of wheat. I am super excited about that. Very, very happy with that harvest. So, we will go ahead and jump straight into our mowing next. All right, we got all of our grass mowed, tedded, and raked, and we are ready to start baling. We got a lot of bales to make here, and we're going to get right to it. We'll get this thing fired up, get it dropped down. And I did make one pass around the outside of this field already because grass mixing with straw is never good. And you're going to see one bale that ended up being grass because it got a whole 20 liters of grass in it instead of straw. But anywho, I'm going to go ahead and hammer this out, and I will catch up to you guys when we get her finished. All right, we ended up with 71 straw bales and 17 hay bales. Really, really happy with where we're at with that. Now I'm going to go ahead and actually get all of those bales picked up. And once they're picked up, we got some planting we need to get done. Hey everyone, welcome back into Monteriggioni. So in the last episode, we got all of our harvest done and all of our baling done as well. All the bales picked up. And now I've got the new Schluter, or new to us anyway, Schluter Super Track, and we're tilling up some fields here. Not doing a whole lot in this field, just want to get that spot cleaned up a little bit. It was just a little too janky in this field, right through this section, so it's definitely not straight by any means, but it's a little bit straighter, so happy with that. And we're going to go ahead and expand this field here. Our small field is going to be turned into a grass field. And there's really no reason to have a headland around a grass field since, you know, we're going to mow everything anyway. Or that's part of the reason why I mowed this in the last episode, was to give myself an idea of where I can and can't go as far as where the field boundaries are. Unfortunately, you can't buy any roads in this map, which is very disappointing. And there's honestly a lot of sections you just can't purchase or use. And that does get a bit annoying at times, but in the end, it's not that big a deal. But this is going to expand our grass field quite a bit. And there's really no reason not to have this seeded into grass if we're going to mow it anyway. So we're going to go ahead and get this expanded here, and then I will rent our seeder, and we're going to go ahead and get this seeded yet this month as well, and get this grass growing. That way we can get a cutting off of it before the end of the year. Now, there is rain coming late today, so I'm hoping we get all of this done before that rain hits, but we're going to be cutting it pretty close. Thankfully, this is a nice small field, and this field expansion here won't take very long at all. And the seeder I'm going to rent is direct drill, so we don't need to do any cultivating prior to seeding. Alright, and we are done. Did not take very long. Didn't think it would. So we're going to go ahead and get that seeder rented, and I'm going to go pick it up, and we're going to start seeding right away. Alright, we got the seeder rented. Cost over $8,000, or 8,000 euros, I should say, in order to rent. So that was holy crap expensive. But it does hold seed and fertilizer, so we're going to be able to fertilize as we plant, which is absolutely fantastic. So we're going to go ahead and get to this as fast as we can because there is rain coming, and I do not want to get rained out. I desperately want to get this field planted as soon as possible. Alright, so we'll get this thing fired up. We'll drop it down, and I am going to go ahead and turn my steering assist on. Give us 2 headlands. And see how this goes. Should go quite well, I would hope. This is an 8-meter seeder, so twice the width as our old one, which is absolutely fantastic, and we're moving at a pretty steady clip here. My goodness, we're running 18 kilometers an hour. I did not expect this thing to run this fast at all, so that is absolutely phenomenal. But we'll go ahead, hammer this out, and I'll catch up with you guys when we're finished. Alright, and we're done planting our grass field. Did not take very long, thankfully. And we beat out the rain, so I'm very, very happy. Alright, so as you can see, we're sitting very good for fertilizer and pH value, so I'm really, really happy. Now we're going to get a nice rain right after this got planted. So this grass should pop up and be very, very good. But we're done with that seeder, so I'm going to go ahead and empty it. We're not going to need it for a couple of months yet, so there's no reason to hold on to it. We'll go ahead and return it. That way we're not getting charged multiple months. And we'll just re-rent it when we are ready to plant our wheat and barley again. So we're done for the month of July. Everything went absolutely fantastic, and I'm very, very happy with where we're at. So I will see you guys when we are ready to start planting. Hey everyone, welcome into September. We're starting out down here in our goat barn, as we're all the way up to 31 head of goats in here, which is absolutely fantastic. But one of them did contract mastitis, which is not good at all. So we started treatment. That's $200 a month to treat them, and I'm really hoping 1 month will be enough to get them treated and back to healthy. But we have a crazy amount of baby goats out here. You can see a couple of them running around right now. And there's a whole bunch out there that you just can't quite see because the pasture is a little too tall. But they are doing absolutely phenomenal. Our chickens are growing like crazy, and they are doing absolutely phenomenal as well. And we're due to have some baby calves here next month. So that's really, really exciting to have our first baby calves on the farm and our first cow milk on the farm. But this month, we need to go ahead and get all of our vegetables sold. We do have our first bit of goat cheese and goat butter here on the trailer, which is really, really exciting. So we're going to go ahead and get these sold off for the first time this month. And we have planting to do. We've got all of our wheat and barley that we need to get planted this month as well. So we have a very busy month ahead of us, and we're going to get right into it here. So we'll haul down to the farmer's market and get all of this sold off. I can't wait to see how much we get now that we have butter and cheese on the trailer as well. All right, we'll go ahead and get backed into the farmer's market here and get this sold off. And we made 13,724 euros with a 1,572 euro environmental score bonus. That is absolutely fantastic. That goat cheese and goat butter definitely added some to our sale there. Now, unfortunately, we just aren't producing enough to sell a whole bunch every month, but we'll probably be selling every couple of months. So we need to head back to the home place and get ready to feed our cattle. Our chickens need fed, and our goats are fine on feed. But we'll go ahead and get those other two fed, and then we can get straight into planting our wheat and barley. And we're still going with the mix of 4 buckets of hay and 3 buckets of silage. Gives us a really good TMR mix. Now, something I do want to get done at some point, and it's probably not going to be in this series, but there is now a mod out where we can change the TMR mix. So that's something I'm going to experiment with, and like I said, it probably won't be in this series, but I'm really hoping in the next series we can have a much more realistic ration for feeding all of our animals instead of just hay and silage, which is good. It does work, but there's just a few things I'd like to change if possible. All right, well, we got our feed wagon loaded, so we're going to go ahead and fill this loader bucket up with wheat and take it down to our chickens and get them fed quick while the loader bucket mixes here. Or while the feed wagon mixes is what I should say. And it looks like we spilled a little bit. So we got an extra 100 liters in the bucket. No big deal there. We can just go ahead and dump that right back into the silo. And then we can grab the other tractor and the feed wagon and start feeding our cattle. And we do have some manure we need to get moved, but we don't need to do that right away. That can wait until after we get all of our planting done, because yet again, there's more rain coming. It seems to rain just about every month here, which is very different from our last series in Iowa, where honestly it hardly ever rained. So this is something I'm trying to get used to, but yeah, it definitely makes things a bit more challenging. All right, we'll go ahead and get these cattle topped off, and that'll be it for our chores this month, and we can get straight into planting after this. All right, we got the seeder rented, so we'll go ahead and get it filled full of seed and fertilizer here. And I have no idea how long this will last. It definitely holds a little bit more than our last seeder did. And our last seeder did not hold fertilizer. So we're going to start planting wheat, and we're going to start down here in what was our barley field last year. You can see we definitely have a lot of weeds growing in these fields, which is not great at all. But we'll go ahead, get our GPS set up here. 2 headlands, I like that. We'll get this fired up. We'll get it dropped down. Or it'll be interesting to see how far one fill up with seed and fertilizer will go. I'm sure it's going to take quite a few refills here to get both of these fields done. And I'm really hoping we can get it done before the rain hits. All right, well, we didn't make it too far here. We ended up getting all of the headlands done, the 2 passes around the headlands. 1 pass down, 1 pass back, and one of them was a half pass, and we are out of fertilizer. So, we're definitely going to be refilling quite a bit here, at least with fertilizer. Seed is definitely not going down very fast. You can see we're sitting pretty good there. And it usually helps if you turn the seeder on. There we go. That's much better. Okay. So yeah, we're definitely going to be refilling quite a bit here. I have no idea how much this harvest is, or this harvest. I have no idea how much this planting season is going to cost, but I got a feeling it's going to be a bit expensive. But being able to put down seed and fertilizer at the same time is a huge advantage. That's one less pass through the field, so I'm very happy with that. All right, and we are filling up with solid fertilizer for the 3rd time. And that was 1,233 euros. So yeah, having to fill up with solid fertilizer is very, very expensive. We're burning through cash very quickly here. But that's okay. We need the fertilizer regardless, so we're going to buy it and just deal with it. Now we'll make sure we actually get the seeder fired up this time before we drop it down. And as you can see, we're definitely a little over halfway, maybe 3/4 of the way here. And we'll be done with this field in a hurry. This seeder is definitely making a huge difference on how fast we can get these fields done, which is absolutely phenomenal. All right, and we are coming up to the end of planting our wheat field. Very exciting. And we just barely have enough solid fertilizer. We went through 60% of our seed. So not too bad on seed. Pretty happy with that, but the fertilizer, boy, 3 fill-ups was very expensive. Now we're going to go ahead and refill both the seed and the fertilizer and jump into our barley field. And as we jump out and take a look here, honestly, I don't think we're even going to worry about putting any lime down. We're sitting at 6,500. We're only down 250 on our pH value. Really, I don't think it's going to be worth spreading lime. You know, we're looking at 123% yield, so I think we're going to forego the lime this year and call this field good, except for the herbicide that we'll have to spray here next month. Top off with our solid fertilizer. Top off with our seed. And that was $1,200. No, Jesus, $1,300. So we'll go ahead and get unfolded here. And we can get straight into planting our barley. So I'm assuming this will take another 3 loads of fertilizer, just like the last field, to get this planted. They're almost the same size. The wheat field is slightly bigger than this one, but not by much. So I'm just going to go ahead and plan on 3 loads of fertilizer. And I don't think we'll need to refill with barley. Barley seed goes quite a long ways, if I do remember right. So I think we should be good on seed. It's just going to be fertilizer that we're going to be filling constantly. All right, well, we're filling up with solid fertilizer for the 2nd time, and we definitely went quite a bit further in this field than we did in our wheat field. So barley definitely takes less fertilizer and more seed. So yeah, we're definitely burning through seed a little bit quicker, and we're still burning through fertilizer like crazy. For some reason, my GPS quit. Not sure about that, but we'll go ahead and get this fired up. Get it dropped back down and continue on with this field. And I'm still guessing it's going to take 3 fill-ups of fertilizer to get this thing finished. And it honestly might take a 2nd refill for seed. Not really sure. Doesn't matter too much, because even if we overbuy, we're going to empty it out and put it into our greenhouses anyway. So no seed or fertilizer will ever go to waste on this farm. That is for certain. All right, and we are on our last pass here, getting this field planted. And man, are we cutting it close on the fertilizer. We're down to 43 liters, and we're not using any more. Perfect. So our 2nd fill-up was enough to go ahead and get this field done. I'm very happy with that. And We ended up actually using less barley seed. That's crazy. So, we're done planting, which is absolutely fantastic. And I still can't judge fields for... Well, I still can't judge fields, so we'll keep it that. We'll keep it at that. So we'll go ahead and get this thing emptied out. We'll get all of the extra seed thrown into our greenhouses. That way it doesn't go to waste. And we'll go ahead and get this seeder returned, because there's no reason for us to continue paying on it when we're not going to be using it. So that's about it for the month of September. I'm going to go ahead and finally pick up a power washer this month, get all of our equipment cleaned up, do any maintenance that needs to be done on everything. That way we are not worried about any more extra spending for the rest of this year. All right, we got the seeder returned, and we got all of the seed put into our greenhouses, and we're going to go ahead and start putting manure into our greenhouses next. Go ahead and get our cow barn all cleaned out, and as well as our goat barn, even though I do believe our goat barn is actually like linked to the greenhouses. It's still just, you know, kind of fun to go ahead and clean it out anyway, get it dumped into the greenhouses. So that's what we're going to do, and that'll pretty much be it for the month of September. There's not a whole lot more going on this month. We've got one more round of hay to go, and in December we're going to be selling off our wheat and barley, and hopefully making enough that we can finally get started on our grape operation. That is my goal, that is my hope, and it'd be really nice if that's where we actually ended up. So I will see you guys here in just a minute. Welcome into October, everyone. We have a pretty busy month ahead of us here. We're going to go ahead and get started by selling off all of our vegetables and our eggs. We don't have any products out of the dairy this month to sell, but we do have baby calves on the farm, and that means we have milk. We don't have very much, but we do finally have some cow milk. We also have fields that need to be sprayed and grass that is ready to be mowed and turned into hay. So we've got plenty to get done here this month. And I'm sure, as always, it's probably going to rain at some point, because it seems to rain every month here in Monteriggioni. So we're going to go ahead and get to it here as quickly as possible. And we're, like I said, we're starting out selling off all of our vegetables. All right, we'll get back into the farmer's market here, and we'll get all this sold off. And we made 10,374 euros with a 1,294 euro environmental score bonus. So that is very, very good. We're sitting at 94,814 euros, which is not too shabby. And we have a lot of barley and wheat we're going to sell here in December, so we've got plenty of money coming in to hopefully start our grape operation. All right, now we're going to go ahead and get our cattle fed. And while that is unloading, we'll see if we can find... We'll see if we can go ahead and find the baby calves that are out here. Got a feeling it might be a little difficult. There's one. So this is a brand new little baby female. Very, very cute. Happy to have it out here on the farm. Looks like there's another one. There should be 3, I believe. Yep, and there's a little male. He's doing very good, taking his first couple of steps. And I believe there's one right over here. Yep, and here's another female. So that is wonderful. I believe that's it for calves out here. There might be... Oh, there's another one. Okay, so there's 4. So there's another little male. Doing absolutely wonderful. Everybody's very happy, very healthy. Like I said, we finally have some milk, which is really, really good. All right, we got our old water trailer hooked up, and it will work perfectly for hauling milk from the barn over to the dairy. Unfortunately, it doesn't just automatically transfer, but not a big deal by any means. All right, we'll get this backed in. Get this little bit of milk unloaded here. Not very much, but it's a start. And we'll run in here, go ahead and All right, and we'll go ahead and get some of this fired up here. We'll do some bottled milk. We can do some butter. We can do some cheese. All right, so butter, cheese, and milk, and bottled milk it is. Like I said, there's not very much milk in here. We're not going to get any products out of it this month, but at least we're getting it fired up, and it is rolling, and hopefully going to make us a lot of money here in the future. So we'll go ahead and get this trailer unhooked, and we're going to go ahead and start out by spraying our weeds. Get those hammered out right away, and then we can move on to mowing our grass. All right, we got the sprayer hooked up. We are loaded, and I leased this sprayer again. Honestly, I don't see the point in owning a big sprayer. With the technology on the new ones, we don't go through very much herbicide, and it only costs $4,000 a month. So I just don't really think it'll ever actually pay for itself if I were to buy it. You know, if you compare the outright cost to what the rental price is, it doesn't make sense. But we're going to go ahead and get our steering assist fired up here. And we'll get this thing fired up and get these fields hammered out in a hurry. This will not take very long, and it'll use very, very little herbicide. And just like that, we are done spraying. Did not take very long at all, and only used about 100 liters. So we'll go ahead and get this sprayer unloaded, get it returned now that we're done with it, and we can jump straight into mowing. Not going to do quite as much mowing as I have in the past with headlands, or I guess I'm not going to do any mowing with the headlands, because we have our new grass field that is ready to be harvested. So that's going to be more than enough grass for us to mow and turn into hay. All right, we got our mower hooked up here, and I am going to go ahead and do this little triangle piece here. It provides us a nice little bit of grass, and it doesn't take very long, and it's convenient. So we'll knock this out, and then we'll jump into both of our grass fields after this. All right, we got all of our raking and tedding done, so we're going to go ahead and start baling. Get this thing fired up, get it dropped down. We got the bale counter reset. And this shouldn't take too long at all here. Hoping for maybe 20. If we can get 20 bales, that would be really, really good. I think that's asking a lot, but at this point, shoot for the stars and, hope you don't miss. So I'll go ahead and hammer out all of this baling, and I'll catch up to you guys when we get her done. All right, we're coming up on the last bit. We got one more bale out of it, and that is it. But we did manage to hit our 20 bale goal. I'm very happy with that. We ended up with 23 in total. So that is absolutely fantastic. That's 3 more than I was hoping for. So we'll go ahead and get all of these bales picked up, and while I'm here, yep, we will need to do some nitrogen and lime. Not a big deal. So once we get all these bales picked up, we are going to go ahead and spread some lime and fertilizer, and we need to start doing some maintenance on some of our equipment. The tires are getting really worn down on this tractor and our loader tractor. Our loader tractor is really bad. It's at 100% tire wear and getting to the point where it's getting really, really hard to steer. So we are going to have to spend probably a good bit of money this month, which is unfortunate, but that's okay. We're going to be selling off barley and wheat in December. So not the end of the world, but just slightly disappointing here. So I'll go ahead and get all of these bales picked up, and I'll catch up to you guys here in just a minute. So for no more ground than we have to cover with the lime, I'm not going to rent a lime spreader this time. I'm just going to go ahead and use this little one. It seems to be not going through as much lime this time, thankfully. But we'll see, what it does on the big field anyway. And yeah, we're just going to suffer through using this little one for our 2 little grass fields. It's really not a big deal. And fertilizer will definitely you know, be just fine with this little one. So we'll hammer this out, and I'll catch up with you guys when we are finished. So I'm really glad I didn't rent another fertilizer spreader, because we ended up getting that whole field done with one load. That was fantastic. Now, I don't think we're going to be able to, you know, get away with only 2, maybe 3 loads on the next field, but at least it went fast and we didn't have to refill a million times in this little field. So a win's a win. Now we're going to go ahead and spread lime in our bigger grass field. And, well, honestly, I have no idea how many we're going to go through. I'm giving up on trying to judge, because I clearly have no idea with these fields. All right, we got both of our grass fields all covered with lime, so we're going to go ahead and get this thing emptied out, switch over to fertilizer, and get them both fertilized. Now, this is going to be more expensive than the lime, but we shouldn't go through quite as much fertilizer. And thankfully, we can reuse whatever leftover fertilizer we have in our greenhouses. All right, and with this, we are done fertilizing, so that was very, very good. Go ahead and get this fertilizer spreader unloaded right here, and all of that fertilizer will go into our greenhouses. Now, I did have to repurchase the soil map. I didn't realize I'd have to do that without expanding. I knew I'd have to do it if I changed, you know, the field shape, but that's, if I got to do that for every field, that's going to be an issue. That's an expense I was not counting on. So that might be a problem coming up here in the near future, but, you know, we'll deal with it when that time comes. But that is going to be it for the month of October. So I will see you guys when we're ready to sell our wheat and barley. Welcome into a very rainy December morning, everyone. We've got quite a bit on the docket today. We've got all of our vegetables to sell, and we finally have some milk to sell. So we'll take a look at the trailer here. So we've got some goat milk to sell, some cow milk to sell, goat cheese, and 2 pallets of butter. So our dairy is doing quite well. And I forgot to shut the door. So we've got quite the sale here. We have chores that need to get done, grain that needs to get sold, and some goats that need to get sold as well. So we've got a lot of selling to do, a lot of making money to do today, and let's get to it. I'm very, very excited for this month. I'm hoping we make, well, let's say $100,000. If we can make $100,000, then I think we'll have enough money to get started into grapes, and our wine adventure will officially begin. All right, we're down here at the farmer's market, so we'll go ahead and get all of this sold off. And we made 19,495 euros with a 2,539 environmental bonus. That is absolutely phenomenal. Doubled up what we would normally, or what we've normally been making here. And I guess I was so excited about selling stuff, I forgot to mention we have a new trailer, which I'm sure you guys have figured out by now. So we sold off our chicken trailer because, well, A, it really wasn't doing anything, and B, all it could load was chickens. You could make the cages disappear and take those off, but you couldn't load it like a regular trailer. So it was kind of worthless. And I sold it off for 6,000 euros, and we bought this homemade trailer for 3,000 euros. So I made 3,000 euros on that deal, and I'm not going to complain one bit. Making money's making money. I don't care how we do it right now. So we're going to head back and get our chores done right away. Make sure our cattle are fed, chickens are fed, and our goats are fed. And then we'll jump into selling our grain, and we'll finish the day off with selling our goats. All right, we're going to start out by selling our wheat, and we're taking this down to the grain mill. It's paying significantly higher than anywhere else, so hopefully we get all 80,000 liters hauled down there before they start dropping the price. All right, we're getting pulled in here with load number 1 of our wheat. and we made 9,037 euros with a 1,177 euro environmental score bonus. Well, you can see the truck has changed. So I stopped in to grab a cup of coffee and ran into Stefano. He's a local farmer around here, and we've started to become pretty good friends. And he asked me if I wanted to borrow his truck and trailer. And well, since it's raining and his trailer has a tarp and mine doesn't, I said absolutely, I would love to use it. It holds significantly more than my truck does, and we're going to get this done a lot faster and be able to keep the grain dry. So that's a big, big benefit here. Now, this thing is definitely a little weird to drive. Not used to flat-nosed trucks at all, but it's going to get the job done significantly faster here. And that's what we're after. So this is going to cut us down to 2 trips with our wheat and, 3, maybe 4 trips with our barley. I can't remember how much barley we actually have. I just remember that it is quite a bit. All right, we're down here at the grain mill, so we'll go ahead and get this wheat sold off. All right, and we are down here with the last of our wheat, so we'll go ahead and get this sold off. And the back hopper paid 2,655 euros with a 345 euro bonus. And the front hopper paid 12,274 euros with a 1,599 euro environmental score bonus. So we are done selling wheat. Now we're going to go ahead and switch over to barley and getting it sold, and I still need to check where the best place is to sell it. All right, we have our first load of barley. Looks like we're going to have 3 loads, and the last one will be a little short because I need to make sure that we save enough barley to get these chickens through another year. So we need to make sure we don't sell off their feed, or we're going to be buying chicken feed, and that's just not going to be good. All right, and we're down here at the grain mill, so we'll go ahead and get this barley sold off. All right, and we're down here with load number 2 for our barley. All right, and we're down here with the last of our barley. Not quite a full load, but it is pretty close. All right, and we are done selling off our grain. We're sitting at 249,476 euros. That is absolutely fantastic. So we're just about done selling here. We need to go ahead and head back to the home place after we return this truck and trailer and get our goats loaded up and get them sold off next. All right, we have 6 goats loaded up, ready to be sold here. And one of them is the one that got sick. It's not getting better, and it's costing us $200 or 200 euros every month, and I'm going the wrong direction. So it's costing us 200 euros a month and just not really getting any better. So we're going to go ahead and get it sold off before it dies on us. All right, we're down here at the sale barn, so we'll go ahead and get these 6 goats sold off. And that made us 5,214 euros. Not going to complain about that one bit, especially considering one of them was sick. Hey everyone, welcome into April. This is a very, very exciting month as we have a lot to get done here. We have mowing that needs to get done, and we also have grapes that need to get planted. So we're finally to the point where we can plant some grapes. You can see we're down to 138,000 euros, and that's because we did spend quite a bit of money. Now over here you can see I did go ahead and take down the onion storage. I decided we're not going to do onions here in Monteriggioni. I got a little scared off by the spelt and just not willing to risk doing something that is going to take away from our grapes. That's the true goal. So we've got some grape storage there, and I put up this building here, and it has everything we need to get this grape operation going. We've got all the equipment. All of it is brand new. This trailer over here is how we're going to harvest our grapes. This is a pruning machine thing. I gotta be honest, I'm not real familiar with the grape tools and how they actually work. So this is going to be very, very interesting. We have a sprayer for our grapes because we can't get a normal sprayer down the rows. not a big deal. This one is 4 meter wide. We don't have to go up and down every single row on each side. And same with the cultivator here. This is the Lizard Titan cultivator. It will do 4 meters wide, so we only have to go down the rows once. And same with the mulcher. The tractor is brand new. It's brand new Landini. It's a cute little thing, and I'm really hoping we can run both the mulcher and the cultivator at the same time. You know, just do one pass. I have no idea if that's actually going to work or not, but we're going to give it a shot. So we've got plenty of work we're going to get done here this month. All of our animals are doing fantastic. We had 2 more baby calves this month, and they're doing very, very well. Now, something I am having an issue with is our dairy is not keeping up with the amount of milk that we're producing right now. So I do need to look into upgrading our dairy to keep up with the amount of milk that is going into it. It's keeping up with the goat milk just fine because there's hardly any goat milk, but it's really starting to not keep up with our cow milk. So that's something we need to address here very, very soon. But we're going to go ahead and get run down to the farmer's market, get our vegetables, and we have 1 pallet of cheese and 1 pallet of bottled milk here as well. So we'll get all of this sold off, and then we can get back here and start mowing our grass. All right, we'll get back in here to the farmer's market. Whoop. All right, and we will go ahead and get this pallet or this trailer sold off. And we made 12,003 euros with a 1,563 euro environmental score bonus. Fantastic. So that puts us back up to 151,000 euros. And that is wonderful. So we need to get everything ready and to get our grapes planted this month. But I also need to keep my eyes open for finding some place to put up a winery. I don't think putting a winery up at the farm is the best idea in the world. So we need to try and find some place to put one up that be a little better for sales. We have our feed wagon loaded. We're going to go ahead and feed the cattle. We still need to get the milk out of the barn and into the dairy. And then we can jump into getting our grass taken care of. It's definitely an exciting month, and I need to make sure I get our animals taken care of before I worry about the grapes. So we'll go ahead and get these guys fed. The chickens and the goats are doing wonderfully on feed, so we don't need to worry about them. Just need to get the cows fed and get the milk out of the barn and into the dairy. All right, so we have 2,840 liters of milk this month. That is absolutely fantastic. Now, what is not fantastic is how little of the milk is actually being used here in the dairy. So we'll go ahead and get this unloaded. And while that's unloading, we come in here, you can see we're sitting at 7,700 liters of milk. That's basically 2.5 months worth of milk that hasn't been used. So I even went ahead and purchased some sugar and started up the chocolate to try and use some more of that milk. But I think we're going to have to go ahead and upgrade this dairy. But I want to make sure that we get our grapes planted first, and then we can worry about spending money elsewhere. But I do know that planting grapes is very expensive, or at least it can be very expensive. So I want to get that taken care of first. Then we'll worry about taking care of the dairy. So I'm going to go ahead and park this trailer back, and then we're going to grab the mower and start mowing both of our grass fields. And the small grass field that is beside the farm here is where we're going to plant our grapes. All right, we're going to hammer out this mowing, get it all tedded and raked, and ready to bale. Shouldn't take very long. We're just going to do this little triangle here and both of the fields, both of our grass fields quick, and not worry about any of the headlands again, because our crop is high enough to, our crop is grown tall enough now that we will destroy it if we drive through it. So no point in doing the headlands. We should get plenty of bales off of just the 2 grass fields here. All right, we got all of our grass mowed, tedded, and raked, so we're ready to bale. So we'll go ahead and get this thing fired up, drop down. We have our bale counter reset, and we'll go ahead and hammer out all of these bales as fast as we can. That way we can get straight into planting our grapes. All right, we're finishing up our last row here of baling hay. Won't have enough to make another bale, but that is perfectly fine. So we are done. We can get that shut off. Go ahead and push the last bale out, and it should give us 23. Perfect. Very happy with that. That's what we got last time we baled, so that is spot on accurate. And before we get going too far here, yeah, I don't see any reason to do any lime or fertilizer here. That is perfect. And I'm not going to worry about doing lime or fertilizer in the other grass field until we can get the grapes put in. So we're going to go ahead, get this put away, get all of our bales picked up, and then finally be able to plant some grapes. I'm so excited for this. It's been a couple years in the making here, but we're finally here. And I can't wait to get these grapes put in. All right, and we are finally here. We're finally at the moment where we can go ahead and plant some grapes, and I am so excited for this. So we'll go ahead and jump up into our build mode here. Zoom in, and you can kind of see there's a bit of track right there. I went ahead and ran the Landini with the trailer to see just how hard is it going to be to turn around, how much room am I going to have, and I think if we leave right about there will be good enough. So we'll come all the way down to the end of the field here and leave. Since we have plenty of room to turn around down on this end, we don't need to worry quite so much, but I do want to make sure we're kind of straight-ish with the world here. So I think we'll go ahead and call that good for that one. Zoom out a bit. Yeah, I probably should have been a little closer to the edge of the field here. So I'm going to go ahead and delete that one, and at least I have an idea of where I'm at now. And we'll go ahead and put in, hopefully, this entire field here. So I'll catch up to you guys when we get this finished. All right, and as you can see, we have all of the grape vineyard planted here. That did cost quite a bit of money. That was definitely very expensive. We're down to 102,962 euros. But we got quite a bit of grapes planted here, and boy, am I excited. This is absolutely fantastic. Now, there's not anything else we can do this month. There's just not enough growth here for us to go through with the mulcher, so that we'll have to wait till next month. But boy, this is so exciting having this finally planted. We are finally started onto our journey into grapes. Now, with this 102,000 that we have left, we will have some seed that we need to buy after, we do our harvest. We have to continue buying seed for our greenhouses, fertilizer for our greenhouses. But all in all, we're sitting pretty good. We're very stable. So I think it's time to start doing some upgrades to some of the equipment. First thing we're going to upgrade is our trailer. Both of those trailers kind of suck to load bales on, so I'm going to sell both trailers and try and get one really nice trailer that's going to work for everything we need. As when we harvest these grapes, they will be in pallets. We have all of the pallets coming out of the greenhouses, pallets coming out of the dairy. So, and speaking of the dairy, that's something we need to do. We're going to run over to the dairy now and go ahead and get that thing upgraded. I almost forgot about that. So we'll get this little Landini here fired up, and I do want to make one pass down just to make sure that I did give myself enough room here. That's one thing I'm a little nervous about, is running over a crop in our other field. But hopefully this isn't too bad. Oh, that's close. So that's, yeah, we definitely did not leave enough room. All right, well, harvest is definitely going to be interesting, and we might have to go ahead and increase that headland a little bit, expand it into the other field. You know what? That's okay. Not the end of the world by any means, and we have plenty of room down here to turn around. So the only spot I'm going to be a little nervous about is this last row here. It's a little close to our bale storage, but not the end of the world by any means. All right, we're in here at the dairy. And if we take a look, you can see just how much milk we have. It's crazy. So we are going to go ahead and upgrade this dairy. We're going to go up to a level 2 for 39,600 euros. And we will see what this does this next month. 85,000. What the? For some reason, it came across as 85,000 in construction costs, but that's definitely not how much came out. Yeah, I'm a little confused there. That threw me off, but we're at a level 2 here, so we'll see. Hopefully this will go through some more milk here and, you know, increase our production, which is going to increase our profits. But that is pretty much it for the month of April here. So I will see you guys next month when we are ready to mulch and cultivate our grapevines. Welcome into May, everyone. It's a pretty exciting month. We've got some grape work to do, or work to do in our grape vineyard here, and we've got plenty of vegetables to sell. We do have some milk and some butter to sell, but I am highly disappointed in how much we didn't produce here. Maybe I'll give it another month. I'm going to give it one more month, see if maybe it's just going to take a little bit for the upgrade to really kick in, but yeah, it didn't really go through very much milk. I'm pretty disappointed for how much that cost. The increase just wasn't great. But we do have 2 pallets of butter, 1 pallet of milk, some eggs, and we do have goats to sell this month as well. So we're going to make pretty good money this month. You can see we're down to 51,000 now, and I do have a different trailer. So we went ahead and sold both of our trailers. I bought this one. It is a auto loading for bales, just to speed up the baling process a bit, as baling is not really something I want to focus on in this map. The grapes and winemaking is definitely what I want to focus on the most. So anything I can do to speed up the baling, I'm absolutely going to take advantage of it. So we're going to go ahead and get all of this sold off, and then we can jump straight into feeding our animals. Our chickens need feed, cows need feed, and then we can get into our grape work. All right, we're getting backed in here, and we'll go ahead and get this sold off. We made 13,198 euros with a 1,719 euro environmental score bonus. That is absolutely fantastic. We're up to 66,764 euros, which is wonderful. Now, I've already kind of taken a look at the vineyard this morning, and I don't think we're going to need to put down any lime or fertilizer this year for it, which is great. That is a huge cost savings that we're not going to have, which is wonderful. That's not something I expected, but it's definitely something I'm very, very thankful for. So we just need to worry about keeping weeds knocked down and doing all the field work to make sure that we are maximizing our yield as much as possible. All right, we got our feed wagon loaded. We're going to head up, get our cattle fed, and you can see our grape vineyard is looking pretty good. All in all, I'm very happy with how it looks. Seems to be at least growing, so I did something right, which is fantastic. Now, I have done a little bit of testing off screen just to at least have an idea of what I'm supposed to do with grapes, but I'm honestly not 100% sure how this is going to go or what I'm really supposed to do here. But while that's unloading, we can go ahead and take a look. You can see we've got another 2,700 liters of milk coming out of this dairy barn, which is a lot. But our herd is growing. We're up to 18 head of cattle in here, which is absolutely fantastic. And we got another 1 or 2, I think, that are supposed to be born next month. And we've got a pretty good cycle going here of keeping everybody happy, healthy, and keeping newborns coming in every couple of months to make sure that we don't run dry on milk. So all in all, I am very, very happy with where we're at here. All right, and we're going to go ahead and get our chickens fed next. And we're getting a little low on barley. Should be enough to get them to harvest, but boy, did I cut it close. I definitely wish I would have saved a little bit more barley. I believe we're going to be able to make it to harvest, but boy, it's close. So we got 48 liters left over here. We'll go ahead and get that put back into our silo. And then we can jump in the Landini and start mulching and cultivating, and I'm hoping we can do it at the same time. As I believe it's possible as long as the Landini has enough power to actually run both pieces of equipment at the same time. All right, we got the Landini out here. We'll go ahead and get our tool unfolded, apparently. Get it fired up. Get it dropped down. So that's the mulcher. Unfold the cultivator. Get that dropped down. And we should be good to go here. So yeah, this is definitely a much wider running than what it looks. I went ahead with and picked up the Colossus pack just to make things a little bit easier, a little bit faster, as A, I'm not very good with grapes, and B, this just makes things a lot more simple. All right, and as you can see, it is rolling between both rows. And I apparently got the fast version as well. That's interesting. Didn't mean to do that, I guess. Yeah. So this is definitely going to take a little bit of getting used to. So I will catch up to you guys when I get this finished. And hopefully everything goes well. And yeah, not really sure what to think here. All right, well, after doing a couple of rows here, the thought of running both machines at the same time was great, but it is definitely going to be outside of my skill set. I'm going to end up destroying one of my fields here if I'm not careful, so I went ahead, dropped the cultivator off, and we're just going to run the mulcher quick, and then I can get caught back up and run the cultivator afterwards. That way I'm only having to worry about one implement at a time here. But I can definitely say I will need to extend this headland quite a bit. I definitely did not leave myself anywhere near enough room here. All right, we got all of our mulching done, so we're ready to cultivate. And that mulching went pretty good, but I definitely need to extend that headland on the other end of this field, because this tractor just does not turn around enough. So, lesson learned, but I don't know if there is another vineyard tractor that maybe has a better turning radius, that would help. But I am definitely bumping into my crop a bit here, which is an issue to say the least. All right, we are done cultivating and mulching this field, and it does not look like we have any weeds that are growing, so we should be good there. So it's basically just sit around and wait at this point for these grapes to mature and be ready to be harvested. So all in all, went very well. Learned a few things. Number one, this headland needs to be bigger. Number two, I cannot run the mulcher and the cultivator at the same time. It's just going to be a disaster with me attempting to do that. So running them independently is much, much better, much faster, much easier, and just an overall better idea. But as you can see, we're looking at, about 19 tons per hectare for grapes. That is absolutely fantastic. Now, I have no idea what that actually means. I've yet to figure out the whole hectares and tons and all that. So we're done with our grape work here. I'm going to go ahead and get this tractor put away. And we're going to hook up to our trailer and haul some goats into the sale barn and get them sold off. All right, and we have 8 goats loaded up. So we're going to go ahead and get these guys hauled down to the sale barn and get them sold off. All right, we're down here at the sale barn, so we'll go ahead and get these 8 goats sold off here. And that made us 6,638 euros. That is absolutely fantastic. So that puts us at 73,402 euros. And I'm very, very happy with that sale. It's nice to get a little bit of profit off of our animals here. And we're going to go ahead and call this an episode. So if you guys like what you're seeing, please make sure you like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you never miss an episode.